is episode handful. Cinco. Drinks, games, opinions, games, beer.
Order.
Wow. Anyways, welcome everybody. How you all doing today? I don't know why you're not watching Ultra right now. You should be.
Why? There's 150 fucking thousand people watching.
Hashtag come to us instead.
I'm telling you, we afterwards, like I said, we need to do a raid of them because they really need the followers.
Have you seen how absolutely retarded the chat is? They will not. Will not see us.
Silly,
it's worse. It's worse than watching the LCS chat.
Oh, like naughty, yeah. It's pretty much the same thing except in the LCS chat, it's in Korean.
True. It's
I got nothing else. The rest of it is just the dude. Like actually, the funniest part about the chat in the Ultra stuff is that for the longest time during somebody's sets, all it was a bunch of random people doing the emoticons where they're dancing, and it's like,
this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy.
So good, so very funny.
I had to laugh too because you'll see so many people, they'll just type Brazil, Germany, Argentina, Kentucky.
After our podcast, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna type in beer.
That for those of you that missed it the first time. Beer! And if you don't know what that's referencing, that is referencing Iron Chef America.
Oh, I'll put that.
Yeah, the link is in there. But Iron Chef America, that was, God, how long ago was that?
It was a long time
ago. Like the year 2000, early 2000s maybe. But
distant future. Yeah.
the if anyone's ever watched Iron Chef, the original one from Japan, the host was like batshit crazy, off the wall, Japanese talk show style. And
apparently, like the son of.
Well, no, he says
some actual, or no, sorry, the American guy
is the nephew of the guy. Apparently, whether or not he is, the guy from Iron Chef America is the nephew of the Iron Chef host from Japan, but he's all like about flips and kung fu and shit, and it's just.
He used to be an actor, I think, doing like those Three Ninjas movies.
I don't know, but he would always be outrageous for the secret ingredient, and that beer one was just unbelievable. I think beer should be our new follower notification is beer.
Oh God, it's scary.
But so thanks everyone for hanging out today. I know Zara, you're lingering around. Dalton, good to see you. Battle Flag, pleasure as always. Yes. Episode 5 today. Games, Drinks, Opinions. I will
apologize to anybody. Just first and foremost, yes, Ultra's going on. There is also a rather important basketball game that's about 30 seconds away from being done. So if I'm watching here, it means I'm watching Gonzaga win their game. Once it's
they're
done,
up by 12 with 30 seconds to go.
You know what? We're gonna just fucking turn it off.
Spoiler alerts: Gonzaga will win.
Yes.
I mean, if anything, watch the NC State Lou game because it's NC State's up by 1 with 7 minutes to go.
But I am going to turn it back on for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw earlier that it was pretty close. But
I haven't turned my TV on at all today. I've actually had Ultra playing through my phone into the Bluetooth option in my surround sound, so I'm probably getting evicted.
Well, yeah, you know.
Windows have been open. The dog was out on the deck, fucking twerking.
With Gronkowski.
With Gronk, yeah. But I've got Ultra on the brain. I've started doing my ceremonial spring cleaning, and the first thing I did was all of my comic books have just been kind of tossed in my closet. Some in boxes, some not in boxes, some in protective sleeves, some not in protective sleeves. So I spent a few hours today kind of going through and sorting and actually looking what I have, and It might become a time in my life where I part ways with some of them. I don't know. I'm gonna keep obviously the ones that are good, the ones that I like, and then the ones that I don't, I'm possibly gonna say goodbye to. But that was the eventful thing of my day. I washed dishes and sorted comic books and listened to the bass drop.
The bass drop over and over and melt your face.
Yeah.
Again, and yeah, watch the bass drop. That's what they call the girls wearing bikinis dancing around.
Yeah, the girl shaking her oversized boobs. That's the drop.
Yeah.
But
and now, of course, without fail, like any good outdoor music festival, it's raining.
Every year at Ultra, it just pours. But you think about it, you're in Miami in March. Of course, it's gonna rain.
So it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
But
oh well.
You know, it's they paid $400 to be there. So
yeah. But breaking news: Gonzaga 74, UCLA 62.
Final Four, baby. This is the year.
So Duke Utah is later tonight. It starts in like 20 minutes or so. Just to give an update, I want to look at my bracket because I haven't looked at it in a while. So I'm 5 for 6 of my Elite 8 right now.
I actually had a perfect day yesterday.
I did too.
4 games
yeah,
I got right.
So I had Kentucky, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Arizona. So I got all those right.
Me too.
And I had Northern Iowa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Obviously, Northern Iowa didn't make it past Louisville.
Virginia.
So NC State, Louisville, I could give half a shit about. I'd love to see Oklahoma beat Michigan State. And then I've got Duke to beat Utah. So
I don't know about that. I feel like Michigan State got super, like, a poor rating because they're not a bad basketball team. Like they always seem like, oh, we're number 4 seed this year, and then we're gonna destroy everyone.
So far, I'm perfect in this round. Other than Northern Iowa will make me not perfect, but I climbed 600,000 spots in the rankings, and now I am ranked 1.28 millionth.
Oh, well, that's respectable.
So there's one person with 75 points, and like this freak of nature has Wisconsin beating Gonzaga in the finals, which is cool. The only games that he has gotten wrong is he said Iowa State to beat UAB.
Yeah.
He also said Valparaiso to beat Maryland.
Valparaiso.
He also picked North Carolina to beat Arkansas. And,
hey, Duffy, what's going on, Duff?
And VCU to beat Ohio State. So he's gotten 4 games wrong. But this freak of nature also picked Louisville to beat Northern Iowa. But that was 3-4, I guess. He also picked Dayton to beat Providence.
That's pretty amazing. That's to have that many picks right. That's amazing.
He picked San Diego State. He picked what are some upsets? He picked UCLA, which was an upset, and then he picked UCLA to go ahead and beat Iowa State as well.
Wow! Like worst team in the tournament.
Yeah. So this guy, and not only that, but now he has Michigan State to beat Oklahoma, Utah to beat Duke.
Ooh.
And Michigan State to beat Louisville.
The only thing that you can bet on Utah having over Oklahoma is more Mormons.
So this guy predicted correctly that Villanova would lose to NC State, and now says Louisville will beat NC State, which will then lose to Michigan State. So he predicted a 4-7 Elite 8 match. Like this guy sucks. But then there's 1,000 people
I had a 5-2 final. Like that's not
I guess so.
An easy one to pick.
Yeah.
Not that it happened.
That's true. Duffy, if you haven't yet, don't be afraid. Vote for First Time Friday. If there's anyone else in here that hasn't quite yet, I just posted the link for First Time Friday. Click there, submit your vote. It'll determine what game I'm going to play after the podcast tonight. And right now, we are currently tied. Between Infamous Second Son on the PS4 and Ori and the Blind Forest on PC. I mean, one of the other ones might make a sneak in if
I may come back. I did vote for Uncharted when I voted. So.
I think I voted for Valiant Hearts, maybe. I think. Hey, Heavy Rain got no love. Jason.
Jason. Dusting.
I bleeped a man. Metro got no love. Fallout 3 got a couple late love. Bioshock got 2. Uncharted has 2. Valiant Hearts has 3. And Ori and Infamous both have 6. We've got 21 total votes, which is awesome. But
yeah, definitely votes more Mormons. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. If BYU had to have gone up, can you imagine Utah versus BYU? That would be just the Mormons.
well, had BYU beat Gonzaga in their division championship, they would have had a spot for sure.
They were in.
Well,
BYU
they were in
had a
that.
playing
They were in that playing. I don't count that in. That was a playing game.
Yeah,
Wasn't quite.
Whatever. They
Doesn't quite have the
should
same
have
ring.
been in the tournament. UCLA should have been out.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, so that's what our lives have consisted of lately, is playing video games, watching Ultra, NCAA, March Madness, and
being outside. My God, it was 22 degrees today in
yeah,
Calgary.
yesterday
Freaking March.
it was 19, and I thought that was crazy. And then I went this morning and was just like, oh, like I was outside in shorts all day, went for a walk. It was like amazing. Excuse me. But so yeah, I don't know what else has been going on in your world as far as gaming news or other news or.
I played a little bit of NHL this week. Just I got I have the hockey bug because the playoffs are getting right down to it. So I played my little creative character on NHL.
Right.
I actually yesterday I watched a Twitch stream. Lol Renee, she was playing Life is Strange.
Yeah.
And I'd heard Life is Strange because it's a Square Enix developed game,
Yeah.
but it's like an episodic game,
Mhm.
and it looked really interesting. So
I'd
I'd like to try.
I haven't been watching any of it at all because I want to play it as well. So you can buy the whole series for like $19, I think.
Yeah, which is
So I might. I was thinking of possibly doing that as a stream even next week. So
yeah, no, it's only 2 episodes in. They still have 3 to come.
yeah.
So it'll be spread out. Obviously,
a lot of what I've been watching on Twitch for the last couple days has been Bloodborne.
Yeah, I did watch some Bloodborne as well. I watched Man play some Bloodborne.
I've never been a fan of watching the Souls games. I haven't found them to be exciting to watch. But I've been watching a little bit of Bloodborne just to see if it is noticeably different or anything. Basically, the way I see it is it's a visual upgrade of Dark Souls for the most part. And I mean, Souls players and Bloodborne players will probably say it's completely different, this and that, but it looks very similar. And I don't know if I'd ever invest in playing those. Part of me wants to one day play Dark Souls just to get completely wrecked and
Just to die.
and confirm that I indeed should not be playing this game.
Because I can after watching just a little bit of it, and I did watch some Dark Souls stuff just out of interest because Zeke played it and Zeke rages better than anybody on
Right.
Twitch. But this one, like you're right. Like when you look at it, it's exactly the same gameplay wise.
Yeah.
And it's got, I mean, it has. You can tell that the setting is very, very different.
Right.
So that I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I was just flipping by it, if I just took a cursory look, unless I'd look closely, it would look like a Dark Souls game, which is great for people that love Dark
Well,
Souls.
to be fair, it is made by the same guys that made Dark Souls, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying Red Dead Redemption is like GTA. Well, of course it is. It
Right.
plays exactly the same because it's made by Rockstar, gonna be pretty similar.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, there's been, I don't know if you know much about this game, but it was big news in the Kickstarter world. Pillars of Eternity. That.
I just kind of saw the name, didn't really.
Yeah, that came out yesterday, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about it either, but I was watching a friend play it, and it looked like it was way over my head, and I thought, nope, that's.
Like, is it an RPG? What kind of game is it?
It's, I don't know how to describe it. Let me see if there's a good way to describe it. Pillars of Eternity. Pillars of Eternity, Wikipedia. Let's look it up. Is a fantasy role-playing video game from Obsidian Entertainment. Involved in productions are yada yada yada. It's notable for crowdfunding, which raised $4 million. At the time, the highest crowdfunded source video game on Kickstarter ever. Gameplay. Pillars of Eternity features a party-based, real-time with pause tactical gameplay. So it's like the camera setting is like an overhead view, like a Diablo or Path of Exile type view.
Okay.
Fixed isometric user interface for the game world of 2 dimensions, pre-rendered backdrops in a similar vein as its spiritual ancestors Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale series, and Planetscape Torment.
Okay, I have no idea.
The mechanics will be based on...
It kind of looks like you said turn-based with pause RPG?
Well, yeah, you pause the game and then you set a command for one of your or for all of your people, and then you can unpause the game and dishes it out, pause it again. So it just gives you time to plan, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And then it says the mechanics will not be based on Dungeons and Dragons rules, and the plot
Baldur's Gate, yeah.
and the plot and setting will be an original IP. Yada 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 yada. So yeah, that's been pretty popular on Twitch. I will never play a game like that just because it's, again, far superior to me. Like I was watching, it was Jofu that was playing it, and I was watching him play, and he was playing it on hard, and I said to him, well, why not play it on normal? And he goes, well, that's no fun. And I said, well, normal's hard enough.
Well, yeah, it depends on an RPG. I could probably play an RPG on hard if it was turn-based. If it were something like Fallout 3, it might be a little bit tougher.
Right.
You haven't really played Fallout 3, I guess, but the combat
I haven't.
system,
No, I know a little bit about it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I'll eventually get to it.
The targeting system in Fallout 3 is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's medium is hard's a good challenge, maybe a little tough at times. Medium is good for the playthrough. That's
Right.
what I kind of like. Like I'm playing. I mean, with my streams, I'm doing BioShock Infinite right now, and to be honest, I'm playing on medium, and I'm dying more than I should have, but I
Right.
also am kind of going pretty cavalier on it. And
Yeah.
because I would rather do that than, go balls out hard and do like for this I'd rather get the story the first playthrough.
Right.
Then
No,
if I want a challenge, I can go back and do it later.
I agree. Yeah. Sticking with news, another big news thing today that landed. This is
Gas went up. I think Alberta budget came through, and
fucking
now
Alberta.
beer and cigarettes and gas are more expensive.
sad news for Nintendo Wii owners or Wii U owners. Reported. I mean, I don't know if it was reported there, but written on IGN, and a Nintendo spokesperson has confirmed that there are no plans to show off The Legend of Zelda for Wii U at this year's E3, which means it is no longer targeted as a 2015 release.
That's okay. I don't know if that's bad news.
And I've always been a fan of holding back a game to make it right.
Me too.
I think Nintendo has done a good job of making sure their games are released good, but the problem is that I think a lot of people were looking at the Zelda game to save the Wii U, such as Mario Kart and Smash kind of gave it that bump up again. But like you look at what's to come out on the Wii U in 2015, and everybody's hopes were the big talk games were Zelda and Star Fox.
Yeah,
So-
and I think Star Fox is still in the works.
You know what? It's been so hush hush about it ever since last year's E3 when it was Miyamoto talking with a blurred screen behind him that you could tell was Star Fox, and that was kind of the hype behind it. But there hasn't really been much discussed.
Miyamoto meter out of 10.
Yeah.
Yay, 10 for the win.
But I mean,
No,
no one will deny that the two strongest games on Wii U are Smash and Mario Kart, and it's. I mean, we could talk Nintendo and popularity and this and that till we're blue in the face, but everyone I think was looking to Zelda as the game of 2015 for Nintendo, and now that that's not happening, I think a lot of people are probably sitting here thinking, well, what is coming out this year for Wii U that's going to be good? And I mean, there's some titles, but I don't know if there's that superstar, let's call it AAA, if you will, level of game coming out for Nintendo this year.
I haven't looked at the roster.
Well,
so I can't
yeah,
say
like
for
let
sure.
me look at.
I think first of all, you and I are on the same page as far as delaying a game to get it right. I think that doesn't happen enough. And if you look at probably, two recent examples of them of game developers absolutely doing it. One was BioShock Infinite, and I remember that was supposed to come out at the end of 2013. No, sorry, 2012.
Yeah.
And they delayed it for another 6 months. And it came out, and like people, I mean, it's the internet. People will worry, oh, why is the game being delayed? Doesn't mean it's not good.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's this and that. No, it means there's more work to be done, and they want to get it right. And BioShock Infinite, I mean, I'm playing it right now. They got it right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, everybody pretty much that did a review of it or has played it that enjoys the game. The other one is South Park, because that one took forever. It was delayed,
it,
and that
think,
shit
2 or 3
was
times.
amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, South Park is only $11 on G2A for PC today. If you haven't played it or bought it,
Buy
you should.
it.
$11 is a fucking great deal for it.
It is well worth $11.
Looking at Wii U's 2015 announced games, I mean, you've got Mario Maker, which
could be a lot of fun.
Could be a lot of fun, but I don't know if it's that
Unproven,
high.
Yeah.
Yoshi's Woolly World, or Woolly World.
The Woolly World, yeah.
You know, who knows? I mean, it might be all that in a bag of potato chips.
I didn't play the Kirby Yarn game, but it looked like a lot.
Yeah, Splatoon is their Nintendo's Call of Duty. Let's call it.
Okay.
The Squid Kids with the ink. A lot of interest in that, but whether or not it's gonna carry a console, I don't think it will. You've got Mighty Number 9, but that's coming out on multiple platforms, which I cannot fucking wait for. Star Fox Wii U, it says Q3 2015. I think that will be great.
Yes. Yeah, they haven't really had a proper follow-up to Star Fox 64.
Yeah.
And I really love Star Fox 64. I thought it was a great short game that I could play over and over again a lot of different times.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see what they do with this one, if they're going to make it a little longer, if they're going to go for the replayability. I think, and they kind of explored it in Star Fox 64.
Mm-hmm.
I think a multiplayer 3D battle arena battle mode kind of thing would be a ton of fun.
No, I agree. And then obviously Zelda Wii U is pushed to 2016. But there's that. I'm drawing a blank on what the one game is, but it's like it's a third-party game. It's Nintendo exclusive. What the hell's the name of it? Let me find it here.
Capcom?
No, it's the game name.
Trying to think who else makes. They'll probably. I mean, they had a version of Arkham Knight. I imagine they'll have a version of the Arkham.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that on Nintendo.
Well, yeah, I guess that'll be for all consoles.
It'll come to me, but
yeah. Which now here's a question while we're thinking of this and researching things. What Nintendo franchise, like Nintendo made game or Nintendo made franchise, would you like to see them do for the Wii U that they haven't done yet?
Nintendo made franchise?
Yeah. Like Star Fox.
I was having this chat a little while ago. I would love to see a new Conker's Bad Fur Day. Or I mean was it what was the one that who owns it?
Rare.
Right.
Live and Reloaded for the Xbox.
But was that the same game, just remastered, or?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
But they like Nintendo doesn't own that trademark. Rare does.
right. Um,
But man, frick, I would love to see. Can you imagine that in new Banjo Kazooie games on a Wii U?
yeah,
Oh,
I think
man.
yeah, Banjo Kazooie is. I mean, I love Banjo Kazooie. I'm so pissed that I don't have my copy of it anymore. I don't know where it went.
I don't know either.
But that would be one.
I don't have it, do I?
No, you
check.
don't. You don't.
No, I don't.
I mean, I think Star Fox obviously is the one to me that I want to see one that's like Star Fox 64, not like Star Fox Assault where you're fucking running around tanks and the flying missions in Assault were so good, but the rest was junk. But anyways, I I love Punch Out, and I think a new Punch Out would be awesome.
That would be great.
But I would love to see the thing that I didn't really like about the Wii Punch Out was that it was the majority of them were the same characters from the other games just brought back. And yeah, there was new techniques in this and that, but I would love to see a Punch Out game where one, it had all new people, and two, it had online where you could actually face other people in Punch Out. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know how you would make that work, but
I think that could be an interesting thing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think they've done the Mario games, they've done the Zelda's coming out, Star Fox coming out, Mario Party, Mario Kart, this that. I want to see a new Mario Golf. There hasn't been a Mario Golf since GameCube. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, Nintendo. Get your shit together.
Yeah, I think they did a DS one or something like that, but
yeah. Other than that, I mean, I could probably look at a list of old console games and come up with 1,000 that I would like to see again. But
I think the biggest one that I would love to see, and I will admit I didn't play the latest one that was on the Wii, because there was the two on the Wii.
right,
For Metroid.
yeah,
There's Metroid 3 Prime 3
yeah,
on the Wii, which was great. And then there was Other M, which I kind of didn't really play.
no,
I don't know why, I just sort of missed it. I also didn't have a Wii. But I don't know. I need to actually play Other M because I heard a lot of really brutal things about it. But
Yeah, I
also
never
heard
played it.
that it's not as bad as people said it was, and I think like you and I both love Super Metroid.
I would love to
Metroid
see a new
Prime.
side-scroller Metroid.
Just another Metroid, man.
Yeah, I mean the Prime games were amazing, but I would love to see. I mean, you think of like all the like Castlevanias, the Mega Mans, the Metroids, all these amazing side-scroller games, and the world's really gotten away from a lot of side-scrolling action. I think Apocalypse is happening outside my house, but I would love to see. I mean, Mighty Number 9 is basically like the new Mega Man. I would love to see a new Metroid side-scroller. Even a new Castlevania side-scroller. I don't know how long it's been since the last Castlevania game came out. Maybe 10 years.
I don't know.
I haven't really kept up with it, but I don't know. I mean, there's in a world of HD remakes that we live in right now, where everything is being HD redid, this and that, yada yada. Why not explore doing even remakes of why? Who wouldn't want to see a remade Super Metroid in Wii U graphics?
You know what they'll do though? They won't do the Wii U remake. They'll do it for 3DS because that's what they do.
Yeah, because fucking Nintendo and their 3DS is king bullshit. Yeah.
I mean, they did the HD remake for Wind Waker, and that looks spectacular because of the cel shaded graphics, and that kind of thing lends itself super well to high definition. Like one of the best looking Blu-rays that I have is the Blu-ray of the old Disney animated Sleeping Beauty,
right? Because
it was the last of the cel shaded animated stuff before they went to the new processes. And I mean, like, you can pause that Blu-ray and every single frame is a painting. not looks like a painting.
Well, that's because that's
is
how it
clear
was,
enough
right?
to be a painting. Well, yeah, and they had a lot of the backgrounds were actually done by a guy who is quite a famous
Right.
painter. So I mean, the whole thing looks incredible, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why something like Wind Waker looks so good.
Right.
Because I mean, high def, cartoony graphics. Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that Nintendo look, right? I mean, it's not the graphics aren't as high end as what you see on PCs, PS4, Xbox One, but it's that Nintendo look. And there's been a couple of things that have come out this week. One was I saw somebody did an HD. This was fan made. It was an HD remake of Level 1 or World 1 from Super Mario 64. So they basically took the first little world bubble in Super Mario 64 and remade it with Wii U graphics, and it looked quite cool. So
Yeah.
I mean, there was that happened, and another one that came out, and actually I think it was released on Steam. It was an update for Half-Life 2, and somebody went in and basically did an HD remake graphically of Half-Life 2. So they improved lighting, improved shading,
They've
everything
done
like
that
that.
for Skyrim as well.
Yeah, so the Half-Life 2 one I think goes live this week or has gone live this week. But you can download that for free on Steam if you own Half-Life 2 and basically get the graphic upgrades for it. And so there's been a lot of that that's been going on, which is kind of cool to see as well.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I mean, going overboard on the HD remake stuff is what it is. I guess you make a little bit of money off of stuff you did already.
Right.
I would, and actually just thinking of another game I'd love to see Nintendo tackle, and I think probably they could do pretty well because they did it pretty well a couple of times, is Wave Race.
Right.
I think if they brought Wave Race back, they could probably have a pretty successful little racing game.
Well, Wave Race was one of the launch games with Nintendo 64, right?
Yeah,
And did they make one for GameCube as well?
they did.
But it didn't really take off like the Wave Race did.
Yeah.
I don't think. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it didn't. They had. Yeah, because it's they did an F-Zero and they did a Wave Race for GameCube.
Right.
But I think the F-Zero one caught on better than Wave Race did. But I always liked Wave Race. It was fun.
Yeah, I can't remember. But
And Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing was a lot of fun.
Diddy Kong, surprisingly enough, Diddy Kong Racing has a pretty decent speedrunning community with it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like usually every year at GDC they have a Diddy Kong Racing speedrun, or I think this year they did a race, maybe a speedrun race, but yeah,
that's an interesting one to speedrun.
I think I own Diddy Kong Racing.
I've got it here, so I don't know if it was yours or mine.
I think
ours,
it was definitely mine. I remember that, but
yeah,
Thief.
I might have just stolen it.
What else do you have of mine, you jerk? You got my Daft Punk
Daft Punk
CDs and
CD.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing. I think that's it. No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well.
Sue you for what? For your
for
record
a
collection?
for a Daft Punk CD.
Daft Punk CD,
Diddy
yeah.
Kong Racing, which I have offered back several times. Every time you bring it up, I offer to give back because
Well,
I will.
and you
buy
also
it again.
and you also have Arkham Asylum too, but I think
Didn't I give that back to you already?
no, you didn't.
Oh,
I-
I will.
Although I've got them through Steam now too, through my
Yeah.
linking, so I might even just play them on Steam because they'll be probably a little smoother to play on PC than on
You
console.
also
I
have
don't know.
you also have my Xbox version of You Don't Know Jack, but
I do, yes.
if we're splitting hairs here,
Fine. And I think I even own. I think I have. What was the movie that beat Avatar for Best Picture again?
Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I think I have that DVD of yours too. But you own it on Blu-ray now, so
Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray, so
Yeah,
you
don't-
can keep that one.
don't give shit.
It's a good movie. Did you ever end up watching it?
I've seen it a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Great, I tell you.
Rip Guy Pearce. Spoiler.
Rip Guy Pearce. Yeah.
Although that was kind of in the trailer that he blew up, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. It
But you
happens.
didn't know who it was and when it
Yeah.
was. But
then you put a face to it, and it's like, oh, guy from Memento.
Sad. Guy Pearce. I hope he remembers.
That's yeah. I was gonna say he definitely won't remember.
I watched a movie with Guy Pearce, the one where he was a prisoner, but was I don't know if he was like a Marine or something. He was framed or something. He was put in prison, and so it's in the future, and the world's most dangerous prison is now up orbiting in space, and the president's daughter is a scientist, and she goes up to this jail and is conducting experiments and stuff like that on the brain. With
like a fucking wacky movie.
No, I'm just setting it up poorly probably. But so she goes up there to study some of the behaviors of these criminals, and ends up being taken hostage, and the whole space station ends up being taken over by the bad guys. So they then call upon Guy Pearce to go up and save the day, because he has an in with the president. Maybe he was like security for the president one time or whatever. So that whole movie is Guy Pearce up in this space. It's basically like Aliens, but no aliens.
Aliens, but no aliens.
So the whole time I was watching the movie, I kept making memory jokes, and the people I watched it with didn't really understand what I was saying, because I don't think they knew what Memento was. But
I am telling you, Memento is probably one of the best 5 movies I've maybe ever seen.
yeah,
it's
up there for me
so
too.
Good. Oh, I remember. You know what? This is a random memory from Memento. The first time I watched it, it was my first year of university.
Yeah,
and it came out in like April.
Mm-hmm.
To nobody. Like it got released in the middle of April, when like the shittiest of shit movies come out.
The shittiest of shit. Wow.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yikes.
Because it's not quite the summer, so it's not summer blockbuster time, and it's not late in the season when the awards movies come out,
Right.
and it's not in the time when some of the Sundance movies come out, like just after summer, like when Whiplash came out this year.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's this weird purgatory. Like March and April are the weirdest time for movies, and it was in one theater in Edmonton, and
Right.
I finished my exams. I was done the day before anybody else on my floor, so I'm like, I'm gonna go see a movie.
Yeah.
So I had read something about Memento, and it's Guy Pearce, and I really like Guy Pearce, and Carrie Ann Moss and Joe Pantoliano. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then I read a little bit about it. I'm like, this looks really interesting, and actually read some reviews that were like, this is an amazing piece of cinema. I thought, okay, nobody's heard of this movie.
Right.
And I was in the theater with 4 other people, and I couldn't, like, my mind was just blown. Like, and the movie ended, and it was funny because the 5 people that were in the theater, myself included, the credits happened, and we all sat there during the credits,
Mm-hmm.
and like then the lights went up, and there was a couple people that were there together, but the rest of us were there on our own, and we're kind of all like had this moment of everybody looking around, and this one guy was like, fucking I don't get it. Like, just said it out loud to all of us, and we all kind of laughed and left the theater. But
Yeah.
whoa,
I mean, it was so unique because the way it was told, like, you started by watching the end and the beginning, and then they would show a scene, do, and then it would end in the middle, which to me, I mean, I don't know if that had ever been done. But I mean, it just,
there's been movies before, like Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
where you were told like unchronologically, but that one had a
but it just tied in.
a method to the madness. Like that one, it wasn't just random.
Yeah, like with Memento, it obviously it played into the whole memory loss thing, and instead of telling a story the way it was, I mean, to open the movie with you're running, and you see a guy, and then you all of a sudden go, oh, I'm chasing him, and then you start chasing, and then he shoots at you, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, he's chasing me.
Yeah. Well, and like that one was, I won't go into too much with if anybody hasn't seen it, because if you haven't seen Memento, yeah, you need to do yourself a favor and watch Memento. Unlike any of Guy Pearce's current movies, like now he gets multi-millions of dollars to put these crazy fever dreams of movies up, like Inception and Interstellar. This was back when he had no money and just a simple concept and a script and some really fine actors.
Did he write it?
Yes, yeah. He wrote it based on a short story that his brother wrote called Memento Mori, which is an interesting one. It sort of doesn't quite make sense, but if you read it after you watch the movie,
it was. I didn't realize it was a Nolan movie.
Yeah, it's Chris Nolan.
Yeah.
But they, anyways, yeah. The most impressive thing about that movie was, like, there was almost like there were several parts that were sort of climactic, but the most important piece of information to piece everything together happens almost right in the middle of the movie,
right?
And that's what it ends with.
I mean, Guy Pearce
goes like,
Guy Pearce was kind of somewhat known because of LA Confidential, right? Like that was his first big film, I guess.
Yeah, that was the first big one, and he had been in The Count of Monte Cristo the year before Memento, so he'd been in some movies that had some studio backing to them.
Yeah.
He'd also been, years ago, was the star of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert,
right,
which is hilarious because he's playing a transvestite,
right,
and like a very flamboyant singing transvestite, and then he totally shifts gears and plays the guy in LA Confidential, and now has done all that he's done. So, but yeah, if you've never seen Memento, do yourself a favor, watch. Even if you think you don't like Chris Nolan movies, or you didn't like Inception or Interstellar or The Dark Knights or whatever, go watch Memento. It's well worth it.
So I guess this. Actually, no, it doesn't, because I was thinking. Never mind. I was thinking that Jessica Chastain was in it, but that was Zero Dark 30.
Yes.
And I was thinking of not Memento, but of whatever the war movie we were talking about before, that Guy Pearce was in.
Hurt Locker.
Yeah, Hurt Locker. Yeah. But anyways, so with Jessica Chastain, I this past week for the first time watched Interstellar.
Ah, yes, you mentioned that.
And have rewatched parts of it. Probably about 10 times, like just clicking through it and watching certain scenes. And it's one of those movies that you have to watch multiple times, but
yeah,
I'm slowly thinking that it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
It's interesting.
And
I've yet to watch it.
And because it basically, I mean, the whole theory behind Interstellar is that the Earth is dying, and a select few are chosen to go find a new world for humans to start over on, because they discover a black hole in space and have looked through it and found planets. So there's 12 potential planets. So a scientist was sent to each of these planets, and they were to. So this is like galaxies away. It's just through this black hole they can get to it, and so they then send a signal back. It's either a yes or a no signal. So if it's a no signal, you're basically left there to die. If it's a yes signal, there's a chance that they come to you. And so the whole point of the movie is that Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, a few select people are the crew that are being sent through the black hole to
one of these planets
to check on these planets that have given the plus sign.
Oh, okay.
And it basically takes.
Don't say too much.
No, I won't. I
want
won't.
to watch this.
It takes reality and doesn't make it fantasy, but it shifts it into this possibility, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it talks about a lot of space and
yeah, it's not so much science fiction as science possibility.
Yeah, like one thing that was really cool, like, because there's a lot of discussions about gravity in the movie, and one scene where they're going down to a planet to see how, or if this one is habitable, and they discovered that with the gravity on that planet, 1 hour spent on this planet is the equivalent to 7 Earth years. So So that's the whole thing, is that if they travel down and come back and it takes them an hour, if there's someone in orbit, they'll be back 7 years later.
Right.
So it's that whole kind of time perception and this and that, and but just the whole thought process of, I mean, that's the forever discussion, is, are there other planets like Earth out there? And
right.
It doesn't talk about time travel, but there's, I mean, possibilities of time warping and this, and it's just, but it just had parts where it's like you watch it again and again and again, and then you start to kind of get it a little more, and then you can go back and watch another scene because it's related to this scene later on in the movie, and I like it so much just because as soon as the movie's done, it's just like questions start popping up in your head, and it's a Nolan movie as well, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, that guy's a phenomenal director. I'll just say that. But
he, you know what he does? He understands certain things about movies that, kind of a lot of the best cerebral, like, drama directors recognize, and like people like Kubrick is one of those, and Paul Thomas Anderson, and the Coen brothers, and Scorsese, and, you know, and not necessarily Spielberg, because he's too I don't know that I would, he makes great popcorn movies. He doesn't make great thinker movies.
I would say, like, Nolan's first big movie was Memento that he directed. I mean,
well, it was pretty small. It got him noticed.
But if you look at it on the scale of things, so
it was the one that got him, like, it would be what Mean Streets was for Martin Scorsese.
Right.
Mean Streets was a very small budget film with excellent actors that did it for no money because they liked the script. And then the movie came out and everybody saw it because they went, wow, this is a great movie. And then he was given more money and more freedom, and then he made Taxi Driver and Goodfellas and Raging Bull and all his great movies, or like the really great ones he made.
Right.
Memento would be like that for Christopher Nolan, because then he got more deals. Like he did Insomnia, and then he did the Batman Begins. And,
so his first movie was in 1998. It was called Following,
which I have, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's like very, very, very much a low budget indie movie, and it also does the same thing of telling a story out of order.
But
it's very good.
I would challenge to say that Nolan is probably one of, if not the best director since the year 2000. Like to be like you would still call him a new face in the film world.
Yeah, I would call him that. I think you probably have to make a case for probably a couple of people. If you're talking since 2000, well, Paul Thomas Anderson probably is in there, even though Boogie Nights was 97 and Magnolia was 99. He's probably in that conversation.
Right.
Aronofsky, who Requiem for a Dream and this Black Swan and The Wrestler.
Yeah.
And Noah, which we won't talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think probably the other one that's in there that is, I think probably the person I would vote for that would be Wes Anderson.
Hasn't Wes Anderson been around? Well, I'm not saying the best, but I'm saying one of.
Yeah, one of the, like, the young. He's part of that group of, like, young filmmakers that are pushing the boundaries.
That are kicking ass.
Like, in a few years, there's going to be people like Damien Chazelle that made Whiplash last year.
Right.
And there's going to be people like J.C. Kander and Jean-Marc Vallée that did Dallas Buyers Club, and what's the one I'm thinking of?
But
Spike Jonze. Well, like, Spike Jonze is in there as well. Spike Jonze might be the best crazy man.
Like I'm gonna talk about Nolan again, but I'm referencing IMDb, so obviously it's user voted, and a lot of the stuff can be skewed a little bit, but Memento, number 43 all time. Batman Begins, number 108 all time. The Prestige, number 52 of all time. The Dark Knight, arguably one of the best movies of all time, number 4.
You know what? Sorry, I'll finish.
Inception, number 14. The Dark Knight Rises, number 59. I mean, Man of Steel he wrote that, he didn't direct it, but
Yeah.
Interstellar right now is sitting at number 22. Granted, that'll probably tip down, but it's like every single movie that Nolan has made has, I mean, he's been nominated for 3 Oscars, I think, Inception, Memento, and, I mean, look.
None director, though, and that's a weird thing, that he's never been
So
nominated.
he got nominated for Best Picture, he got writer for Inception as well.
Yeah, he's a very good writer, and part of his directing is in how good of a writer he is.
Yeah, but you look at all those movies, the Dark Knight movies, Inception, Interstellar, Memento, Prestige, like they're those, you sit there and you walk out of the theater going, I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again and again and again. And
the point I was going to bring up, and actually having rewatched them last year, I think that people maybe overrate The Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger,
could be.
and they
Do you think
Batman Begins, because Batman Begins is in fucking
I still haven't seen it yet. Don't ruin it.
Oh,
I know I know the storyline it follows because I'm familiar with the comic storyline, but
yeah. Is it good, man?
Aquarius, I see your question in chat. We'll get to that in a sec here, but
Yes.
with what the fuck were we just talking about? Oh god, I lost it.
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins, no.
And The Dark Knight.
Dark
Christopher
Knight.
Nolan movies.
Christopher Nolan movies. Fudge a Dudge. I lost it.
Check if you're looking at movies. Can you look at Wes Anderson's movies? See what they
Right.
come up as on IMDb. I'd be interested.
Wes Anderson.
Anyways, as you look that up, let's address. We got a question. What do you guys think about the new Mortal Kombat? That would be Mortal Kombat X, which is coming out
soon.
soonish.
Trademark. Soon trademark.
In
Yeah.
the next couple of months, I think. I actually haven't played a Mortal Kombat game since Mortal Kombat versus DC. So I would actually be really intrigued to look at it. The only thing that I am guilty of seeing is some of the crazy fatalities from the last Mortal Kombat.
Well, they've shown a lot of that too with Mortal Kombat X. Is they introduce a character and their fatalities, because it's a Mortal Kombat game. That's what people want to see, is their
Yeah.
finishers, right? I'm a big fan of Mortal Kombat. For me, you look at any Mortal Kombat game, it really lacks that replayability aspect to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm
And you look at what Street Fighter has done as far as the esports and online modes and all of that. I would love to see Mortal Kombat X have a great online. I mean, the new Killer Instinct that came out for Xbox One, they tried to turn that into an esport thing, and it just didn't do it. But I mean, Mortal Kombat is such a powerful name. I think if you're not excited for a new Mortal Kombat game, then you're doing it wrong. But
yeah, I think it's I think they did a good job with reinvigorating Mortal Kombat with that last game, and with the Mortal Kombat versus DC game. You know what? It was goofy fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not the hugest fighting game dude in the world, and I don't really pay attention to the esports stuff or the Evo things or whatever.
Right.
But I can definitely see when you compare apples to apples with a fighting game like Street Fighter 4 and the last Mortal Kombat. The last Mortal Kombat has its novelty in the fatalities.
Yeah.
Like it has its novelty is in the finisher and going through that. Whereas Street Fighter is flowing gameplay, string together combos, strategy, tactic,
Right.
which does lend itself to be more of a pure fighting game and one that people would do more in competitions.
Yeah, exactly.
Even I would go so far as to say that when Tekken was around,
I think there's a new
Tekken to Mortal Kombat.
I think there's a new Tekken game coming out soon too.
Might be. They had Street Fighter versus.
But I mean,
Tekken.
you think about how saturated the market was. There was Street Fighter, there was Mortal Kombat, there was Tekken, there was Virtual Fighter, but there was
Soul Blaze, or Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur, yeah.
Which actually might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Of any fighting game is
But
Soul Calibur 2.
there was a point in time where it was like everything. I mean, King of Fighters.
It's
there
every
was
Neo Geo game ever.
Yeah, there was so many fighting games out there, and it was
Yeah.
because of Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat that a lot of these kind of boosted out and came to be.
Yeah.
So
to me, you know what? I do appreciate Mortal Kombat because it is different.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't try to be Street Fighter. It is exactly its own thing, and that's cool. And
Right.
I think if they to hit a home run with Mortal Kombat, if they ever figured out how to do a really interesting story mode, I think that would be the home run hit for Mortal Kombat.
like had cutscenes and
Yeah,
more
I
of
don't know how
a
they would do it, but
more of a yeah. I get it.
yeah, because I mean, all the characters are of the same universe, whereas in Street Fighter, you have to stretch a bit more. Like
Right.
it's just a World Warrior tournament, whereas this is more like a Mortal Kombat has a very defined universe, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would make an interest, but I don't know how you do a story mode. Maybe like remember Bushido Blade for the PlayStation, where you
Bushido
were
Blades
like
2 was one of my favorite PS1 games ever.
Yeah, like that was. It's too bad you still don't have that one, man. That was a great game.
Yeah.
But like if where you kind of were dropped down in a situation and you fight a couple of random fighters, and then it was like, okay, then there's a person in this level,
Yeah.
and it drove a story. Like that might be the way to do it.
Right.
But I don't know. It lends itself to being more of a story, I think.
Right.
Which is to its.
Oh, it looks like Minazaki just posted some codes for Grid Automosport. If anybody wants to, is
Thank
that
you,
like
Minazaki.
Grid, like just Grid 1 for Steam? Is that what that is? So that's awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Cheers.
But I mean, you think about with Mortal Kombat versus a lot of the other fighting games. In my opinion, Mortal Kombat just felt a lot slower.
Yes. Yeah. I
and-
think probably the mocap characters made it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to Mortal Kombat 10. There's been a lot of anticipation around it, and I think what they've been doing was slowly showing a character at a time and the whole finishers. But I mean, it's cool too when, like with the last Mortal Kombat game, where it was like you'd get kicked in the head and then all of a sudden it would cut into an X-ray vision of your skull cracking, and
Yeah, that was
just
kind of-
I mean, like doing those kind of things are innovative and cool. Mortal Kombat's always been about the fatalities and
Exactly. It
And-
shouldn't be. Mortal Kombat's at its best when it doesn't take itself serious.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'll just self-promote for a second there. So if anyone's in chat and you haven't yet, I did just post a Moobot link for First Time Friday. There's a straw poll there. Every Friday, I start doing playthroughs of a new game that I haven't played before. We do it after the podcast, and right now we've got a tie for what I'm going to be playing later today. It's between Ori and the Blind Forest and Infamous Second Son are tied. But saying that, there are some other options there. If you want to vote for those, please feel free to do so. Also, down below, there's a First Time Friday link. Click on that. I've got all the games downloaded, so I'm ready to play whatever you want me to play. I don't care. I'll play them all. But
And that's going to happen right after we're done. So
right
you'll
after
get-
we're
you'll
done.
get immediate results.
Absolutely. But
Just good to see a turnover. Turnover is clearly doing it right. Also watching Ultra.
well, yeah. I mean, you should be watching Ultra.
Can you imagine what we sound like in the background with Ultra? Like you have this
A lot of wub wub, yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
You know, Mortal Kombat.
Just remember, drop the bass.
Drop the bass, Officer Skrillex. If anybody, I'm gonna find that comic and put it in here.
The Officer Skrillex one.
Do you have that one saved?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think I got it. Yes, I do. Here we go. This is in honor of he who will close the festival on Saturday. I think.
I don't know. I think so.
He's
Yeah.
he's last on one of the days, but
Yeah.
here you go. Officer Skrillex. That is the link that is in there.
Drop the bass.
It's,
Wub, wub,
yeah,
wub, 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 wub. Yeah.
it's a pretty funny.
An
little
oldie but a
comic.
goodie.
Even if you're not a Skrillex fan, which I'm not, but
Yeah.
it's a funny comic.
Um,
Were you able to find the Wes Anderson thing?
yeah. So he hasn't won an Oscar either.
No, he just got nominated for this year for director.
He got nominated for screenplay for Tannenbaums, shared with Owen Wilson. He got nominated for animated for Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Writing for Moonrise Kingdom. And then Best Picture, Directing, Screenplay for Budapest, which he didn't win any of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you look at Anderson, his director movies, he did Rushmore, Tannenbaums, Life Aquatic,
Bottle Rocket.
Bottle Rocket, the Darjeeling Limited, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom. He did a lot of shorts. And then
Yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel. So he's like, of his 15 movies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are shorts. Well, Bottle Rockets was a short originally, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever seen Bottle Rocket with
No.
Owen and Luke Wilson?
No.
You would enjoy that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's basically Luke Wilson leaves his mental hospital that he's in.
like they were like
Yeah.
super young then, weren't they?
Very young. Oh my! To see Owen Wilson that young.
Like
is
they were
pretty-
probably like 28 or like in their late 20s maybe.
Oh yeah, and he's got this this military buzz haircut. That's
Right.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
But he leaves the mental hospital that he was at, and him and his brother, who's played by Owen, they try to become get in with this small time criminal gang, and they have this whole plan on how to do it. It's really funny.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's in the same boat, right? Like he's had critically, even his least liked movie, which is probably Darjeeling Limited, is still
Right.
really well thought of and really good.
Yeah.
Even I did actually watch Noah when I was when I had my leg infection and was laid up and going through Netflix.
Right.
And you watched Noah in the theater, and you had some interesting things to say about it.
Yeah.
But at least, I mean, it was a mess of a movie. But in that movie, it wasn't a mess of a movie in the way something like Cloud Atlas was, where it was just this is pure terrible shit.
Yeah.
And
I still stand by Cloud Atlas isn't shit. It's just not a lot of people understand what they're doing.
At all.
At all.
But at least, I mean, Noah's one of those where it's okay, this is clearly not a good movie, but it's a pretty
Right.
epic failure of not a good movie. You could tell that if he was allowed to make the movie how he wanted to, he probably could have made something pretty amazing.
Yeah, I just feel with Noah, because it had such a controversial subject matter.
Yeah.
You've got your Bible thumpers and your atheists that are both going to have complete opposite opinions about it. But I mean, anyways, that's nor here nor there to discuss.
It's the same.
but-
You know what? It's the same thing when Black Swan came out.
Yeah.
And it was when the critics first kind of got a hold of it, they're like, wow, there are going to be some people that hate this movie.
Right.
There'll be some people that love this movie. And it turned out that way more people really liked it than anybody would have thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a ballet movie about a ballerina who's going fucking insane.
But a sexy lesbian crazy ballerina.
But and you know what? It's kind of like Whiplash in a way, where
Yeah.
Whiplash is about an artistic
It's not about
person
bondage.
that has a it's not my
A
temple.
lot of disappointed people at that movie theater.
Yeah, but they're I mean, it's the same idea, right? It's the genius, the artistic genius that's striving for perfection that
Right.
drives itself crazy. That's Amadeus, that's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Well, in a way, that's Shock Corridor.
Right.
There's a lot of movies that have done a similar premise.
Mhm.
So it's I think probably the thing that got people most about it was that it's ballet, and not lots of people, they didn't think people would like ballet, or that it was a lesbian thing that was going on, and people would be shock and horror, lesbians
Right.
exist in our world, oh my god. But it's it worked very, very well, as did Whiplash, as did Amadeus. It's a great
Right.
subject, because I don't know, it seems like it has proven itself to be an awesome
Mhm.
pretty awesome way to make a movie. Even movies like oh god, I can go on. Shine was one of them where Gregory Rush or Jeffrey Rush played insane piano player, and on and on and on. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Science and technology.
Darren Aronofsky with Black Swan. Like,
right.
He makes crazy movies that are very good. Like Requiem for anybody that hasn't seen Requiem for a Dream, should watch it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to feel good about themselves or the world in general, but it is an amazingly intense experience. The Wrestler is the same.
Yeah.
Pi. Have you ever seen Pi, the black and white movie? Fucking crazy shit. Anyways, but yeah, like it's nice to see people like Christopher Nolan getting to make movies like that, because let's face it, all you have to do is look at movies these days. Movies these days in general are not good, and they are very unoriginal.
Right.
Even when they are good, they are, a lot of times are concepts where it's like, oh, that's this movie crossed with this movie. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, that's this idea like this, or oh, that's the sequel to this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. There's way more creative ideas that are out there that, for whatever reason, like, people still watch those movies, but the Hollywood system doesn't allow people to make movies like that.
Well, they read the hype train, right? Like now, it's all about zombies and superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see when you get, somebody that is a really good movie maker that can get those kind of movies made, and people see them and go, "Oh, this is head and shoulders above anything else that's going on." Like, yeah, it's nice to see that. It doesn't happen all that often, but I have a feeling that now, with the birth of Netflix having basically made TV into this kind of vast land of amazing shows that are on these alternative things like Netflix and Amazon Prime, not Amazon Prime, but Amazon.
It's Amazon Prime.
Is it Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
It's called Amazon and Show Me TV, or Crave TV and Show Me, and all of these things, and coupled with the rise of HBO and AMC, that now you get TV shows that aren't bound by, oh, you can't swear, oh, you can't show this, you can't show violence, you can't show sex, you can't show nudity. Like, it's totally freeing it up.
It's HBO, right?
Yeah, and it's made TV so much more interesting than movies these days. So I have and looking at Netflix now is having a lot of movies that are being made specifically through Netflix.
Well, not only that too, but there's some TV shows where, like, there's some shows that are played in the U.S. Like, I was deep into watching The 100, and The 100's rights in Canada were owned by Netflix.
Yeah.
So, granted, I also got the CW, so I was able to watch it on the CW, but there was no Canadian television service outside of Netflix showing The 100. And that, like, they've started doing that. So you would get it the following day. The next episode would be on there, commercial free, on Netflix. And when Netflix first came out, there was none of that shit, right? But now it's becoming, like, Netflix is becoming a thing. And even like PlayStation announced a little while ago that there's
they have a series started,
but not only that, they're going to have eventually a TV service through your Sony consoles, so replacing cable. And there was another, I saw a streamer was doing a promotion thing. There's a lot of, even like just through a web browser, there was this one, I can't remember what the name of it was, whether it was like True TV or I can't remember what it was, but literally you could pick channels. So for $50 a month, you could pick yourself 20 channels that you want to watch. So, I mean, the downfall is you're watching it through your PC, obviously, but so instead of, I mean, that's always the thing with TV packages. It's like you get this package because you want this channel. Yeah. And so with a lot of these online stuff now too, it's like, okay, you can pay $4 for ESPN, $4 for the Discovery Channel, $4 for the Cartoon Network or whatever.
Yeah. And
like I'm curious to know what the stats are on cable subscriptions.
Going down. I read something actually in the Calgary Herald this week about the shift. There is a definite percentage shift of people that are getting rid of traditional cable and strictly going with streaming services.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
I'm close to doing that myself. The only reason I won't is because of sports.
Yeah.
I think I could do without any of the network stuff solely because of things like Hulu and Netflix and
yeah,
quote unquote the ability to download. But
I won't lie. If I got a stream of Turner Classic Movies and TSN, the Golf Channel, Sportsnet, the stuff I would watch sports on, I would get rid of cable as well.
I mean, it's nice to have the networks because they're showing the majors, the Stanley Cup playoffs, the
when you say
basketball
majors,
playoffs.
you mean golf stuff.
Golf majors,
People
yeah.
may not know that, but yeah, like if we got something
Super Bowl, Grey
Yeah,
Cup, any of that kind of stuff, right?
yeah, and that would be the only reason I would have cable. I don't have a big cable package on mine. Like, I kind of have what I would need it for. I think the only thing that I pay for that is it's a little bit extra is Golf Channel. But
Pay extra for the Golf Channel?
Pardon?
It's part of for me it's
I bought the sports packs.
yeah, like I have the sports pack too, and really all I watch is TSN, Golf Channel, and Sportsnet to watch hockey, but or in the NFL Network, I guess.
That's really what I would watch it for, and NFL stuff as
Right.
well. But that, I mean, you and I are unlike probably a good percentage of people stream on Twitch that are big sports fans. So,
But you think of, I mean, even something like Twitch itself has, in the past 4 years, basically, it's a free service, and
Yeah.
people, I mean, millions of people watch Twitch streams, and that's their entertainment service. So instead of watching television, they're going to watch their favorite streamer play a game, and that's their source of entertainment. And you don't have to pay a cent for it other than your internet, right?
And there's a good amount. Hey, Giants boy, how's it going? There's a good amount of people that are putting on streams and also like episodic shows on YouTube that are as good a quality editing wise or production wise as you're going to find on a decent amount of cable networks.
Yeah.
I can think of even something simple and kind of goofy like the Game Chasers on YouTube.
Well,
guys-
the Guild is another good example. The Felicia Days
Yes,
episodic
yeah.
show that started on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Like those ones have some real production behind them because those people are, they have the actual know-how and education and tools to do a professional quality show like that.
Yeah.
And also, they make money off it, so they have the time to actually put into it. But
Yeah.
the sports stuff it won't be long for it. Like I can tell you right now that the NFL announced that their London game next year, which is Jacksonville and Buffalo, so we'll have to pay for that.
Sorry, what?
But it's gonna be it's not gonna be available on TV. It's gonna be available through either an NFL based stream or some kind of streaming service.
But NFL, NHL, all those things, like if I go to NFL.com, they've got, like, you can watch every game streamed on the NFL.com. NHL's the same, their center ice package, things like that. So these
TSN's got a good amount of that for stuff like tennis and Masters golf and that sort of thing. Like they have lots of bonus coverage for it. So is Golf Channel.
yeah.
The Olympic stuff, I know the last Olympics, huge amount of streaming available. If you go on YouTube, you can literally find any event that happened at the last, what was the last fucking Olympics?
Sochi.
At the Sochi and the London Olympics, you can find any event, including
Yeah.
Vancouver, I think, actually on YouTube.
But not only that too,
Amazing.
like if you, for example, I could go to TSN, which is Canada's ESPN, and they've got their what's showing live, and you can log in through your television provider And if you show proof that you pay for that channel, you can even watch it on your computer. So I can log in through my TELUS ID and watch stuff live on TSN. And there's tons of channels that are doing that now where but I mean, I don't know what television providers are doing to counteract it. I'd love to know what the answer is.
You know what? I don't think you can counteract it. I think you embrace it and you ride the wave, because otherwise you're going to get left behind. It's already proven that is the way things are going. Like, I mean, they just, you know, the multiple channels of things, like multiple ESPNs, multiple Sportsnets, multiple TSNs, they can't, you know, they're doing that to try and keep up and to try and put more on there, but they just
ESPN 8 the Ocho.
Like, they just aren't going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, they're showing, like, movies have shown that, like, they, you know, people or companies have made their movies available for Netflix, made their movies available for rental off of iTunes, off of Amazon rental.
Well, not only that too, but now you can, like, with like on-demand sites like iTunes and things like that, you can watch a movie before it's out on DVD.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess it's probably the same for video on demand through your cable provider, but like whenever I go to the PlayStation Store on my PS4, I can now watch movies through that and buy movies through that and rent movies through that. iTunes, I mean, Apple TV has been doing it for a few years now, and Xbox the same thing. Netflix, I mean, Hulu is massive in the US. You pay $8 a month for Hulu Plus, and you get the show the next day. So that begs the question, and the amount of content on Hulu is absurd. So why do you need a cable box when I could pay $8 for probably 90% of my favorite episodic shows? Not only that, but they have like freaking The Late Show, they have the Daily Show, SNL, like, holy shit, like, all that stuff. The only thing they don't have is basically news and sports.
Yeah.
Because that stuff is live, right?
Yeah.
But
the news doesn't have to be live necessarily, but it is.
Wow.
On the
East Coast.
But you know what? I think I think a lot of that is going to end up being the way of a streaming service. I mean, I don't think that TV's not ever going to go away.
No, it never will.
But it's going to be the way what they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to change the way that they're doing what they do on some of their channels. Like, but I hate to say, because it's gonna end up for the bad too. Like shit, like, you know, HGTV, which used to be the Home and Garden Network, and they'd show lots of different things, has now turned into nothing but, you know, Teen Mom and Toddlers and Tiaras, and, you know, now it's like bad.
Well, TLC. Show. You look at what TLC's turned into.
Yeah, it's turned into the
reality show network.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other ones where it has turned into, like, the channel you go to watch people buy property. It's like it's option 1, option 2. And it's like it's hashtag white people problems, the channel, basically. Yeah. And, you know, like, things like, I'm making, like, things like, I'm planning my wedding and I'm doing this. It's like,
but I think what cable services need to almost do is, instead of it being, okay, here's your basic package. Jada, what's going on, girl? Hey, here's your basic package, and then for $10 more you can buy all these other packages, this and that. Why can't, and maybe it exists out there somewhere, but why can't a cable provider say, you can buy one channel for $2, you can buy 10 channels for $18, 50 channels. So it's like, if I want to watch cable for these 6 channels, ding me for those 6 channels, but allow me to only pay for those 6. So it's like, if you want one channel, let's say it's something outrageous like $5.99 a channel, but then if you buy packages or lump channels, then they make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But like, if it was me, guarantee I would subscribe to probably an ABC, an NBC, a CBS, like each of the major networks, and then I would subscribe to a couple sports channels, probably a couple cartoon channels, and that's pretty much it. Like right now, the majority of what my television is PVRing shows that I've watched or that I've recorded, and TSN and Teletoon. That's the majority of what I watch on TV, and because I can watch movies, in any way, which form. That doesn't series, TV series, but like you go on Netflix and like you want to catch up on The Walking Dead, I can watch the majority of Breaking Bad, the whole series, House of Cards. I mean, House of Cards is basically taken Netflix to a new level in itself.
House of Cards and Orange is the New Black.
But basically, what's happening is these shows that are like House of Cards. If it was on a network, it would do so well. But
it was on BBC. It's originally a British show.
Oh, was it?
And it did very well over there. And
well,
that's why
Orange is the New Black, another example. It would do great on network television, but Netflix now has the power where they can they can purchase the rights to some of these shows. So what's saying that the next Breaking Bad or the next 2.5 Men or the next Big Bang Theory or the next CSI is going to be a Netflix exclusive, and more of this stuff is going to become streaming only. And
well, all you have to do is look at something like the Emmy Awards or the Golden Globes for TV when they nominate shows. I mean, the only drama that was on a major American network that got nominated was The Good Wife. As it.
Everything else is either HBO or streaming.
Amazon and AMC. So all of those alternative channels now have totally taken over the creative television part of. I mean, the only thing that's left, I think, on CBS that gets any real like nominations for anything, CBS would be The Good Wife and Big Bang. Right. ABC has Modern Family, and I don't think NBC has anything. Parks and Rec. That might be it. The rest of it seems to. I mean, Fox doesn't really do programming anymore. FX does, but again, that falls into the.
Fox's main programming is their Sunday cartoon / Speaking of Fox, with their Sunday lineup, a new show that started last week was The Last Man on Earth. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
No, I haven't.
You need to watch that. It's quite good. I just watched it yesterday. They aired the first 2 episodes back to back, but it's Will Forte is the guy.
Oh yeah.
And
I shouldn't say it's nothing on Fox. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, baby.
That's Sunday. That's what I just said. Fox is known for their Sunday content. I mean, granted, some guy's gonna tell me that there's more on Fox, but truthfully,
and whatever else.
But basically, the whole story behind The Last Man on Earth is Will Forte is the only person to survive something that caused everything on Earth to be wiped out. So the beginning is him living his life. He traveled the U.S. and then ends up in Tucson and settles in Tucson, Arizona. And so then he starts decorating his house with like the Declaration of Independence and all, and his welcome mat is the fucking welcome mat of the White House. And
that's really
so
funny.
All these precious art things. So he takes all this stuff, and then it's discovered that there's another human being, and it's Kristen Schaal who does the voice of the young girl on Bob's Burger.
Nice.
And so it's basically the two of them, and so the whole thing is Will Forte is like, I would kill to see a woman, and he's watching one scene. He watches Castaway, and he's like, Tom Hanks, there's no way anyone would talk to a volleyball. And then it cuts to 5 months later, and he goes to a bar, and not only does he have a volleyball, but he's got like 30 different types of balls with faces on them talking to these guys. So anyways, it's only 2 episodes in, but it's fucking hilarious. So that's one that's worth watching. But the whole funny thing is that Will Forte and Kristen Schaal meet each other and immediately hate each other. So Will Forte kind of contradicts that whole what I would give to see another woman
Yeah.
this, and then he sees this woman, and all of a sudden it's just like he despises her, and
That's funny.
yeah, but it's
I
quite
really I like Kristen Schaal. She's a lot of fun.
yeah,
She was so funny on Flight of the Conchords.
yeah.
Oh man, I miss Flight of the Conchords. That's yeah. I haven't found a comedy. Maybe Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Like a new comedy that is really genuinely funny and consistently funny. And I haven't caught up with the second season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but like I maybe got a little bit spoiled by Flight of the Conchords and Arrested Development.
Right.
Arrested Development, really, the first 3 seasons, and the fourth one was all right, but the first 3 of Arrested Development is really some of the funniest things ever written. Like it's just it is so absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So I mean, comedy's been catching up ever since, and unfortunately, stuff like The Big Bang Theory wore out its welcome like 3 years ago.
You know, it's so funny because The Big Bang Theory, like the first couple seasons of it are so. The first season is so good, and it's almost like it's. I mean, it had 2.5 Men disease where it. I mean, you watch some of the early 2.5 Men, and it's some of the best sitcom television out there. Like it probably would compete with like Seinfeld and Cheers and those level of good comedy half-hour shows. But all those shows, they found out like those. It's like even The Simpsons did this. The Simpsons at one point shifted between the first few years being all about Bart and Lisa mostly, and then they suddenly discovered, you know what? Homer is the funniest person on this show. Yeah.
So then things became very centered around Homer. And now I mean, it's been going on for enough years, it's whatever. South Park was the same. South Park had like the crude humor and whatever else, and then they discovered that, you know, and it was all kind of about Cartman, and Cartman is funny, whatever.
Yeah.
And they discovered it's like, you know what? We've got a lot of characters here that with a lot of potential
People
for
love
story.
Butters. That's what they discovered.
Oh, Butters! I love Butters.
For that time when Kenny was gone and Butters was their fourth. Oh, golden.
Oh, Butters is great, and they brought more characters in like Timmy, that just and like what's the stuttering kid with
Jimmy?
Jimmy, yeah, like those guys. I mean, they just discovered they had all this great stuff, and that they then went more political, and they found out that the satires were the funniest thing.
Right.
It's Trey Parker and Matt Stone who are brilliant at satires, so they discovered their niche. Big Bang Theory found out after the first year that Sheldon was the one you were going to get the most laughs out of because of how outrageous he is. And they got laughs out of that for a good couple of years. And they thought, okay, well, we don't know where else to go with this. And then they introduced Mayim Bialik and did the Amy Farrah Fowler thing.
Yeah.
And okay, what if Sheldon now has a girlfriend? And they go through that. Now it's totally exhausted every avenue of what could have been really funny.
But you almost think like a show like that, it should go for 5 seasons, or you think of like Breaking Bad is a great example. It went 6 seasons.
6 seasons.
They did what they needed to do, and they got the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
and
that's a smart thing. Every show has a shelf life.
Like you think, like great example, CSI. CSI was a great show.
Yeah.
For about the first 5 or 6 years, and then when the main what's the guy's name, Gideon, when he left, and then these other like Lawrence Fishburne came in, and then Ted Danza came in.
Well, and then they started splintering off to the other CSIs, and it was
well, and same thing. CSI Miami was really good too. Then it ran its course. CSI New York really never did its thing. But
there was a point where all 3 of them were on, and it was total oversaturation.
Well, that was near the end of it. Yeah, I think as soon as CSI New York came out, that was the point where they were all done. Like you think like Spike TV, I think still shows a shit ton of CSI, but they show the early stuff, and the early stuff with CSI was so good. And had they hit a point where they finish it, That's why a show like Breaking Bad is going to live on and do so well in the
Yeah.
Replay, yeah, in the history of TV, this and that. Like they're gonna finish it where they should have finished it. 2.5 Men, had they finished it when they should have finished it,
Yeah.
it would probably. I mean, I'm still a firm believer that early 2.5 Men is some of the best sitcom TV ever made.
For network, yeah, it had a couple of years there where it was
But-
really quite funny. They had some very good writers, but I think that there's so many shows that suffer that. Unfortunately, How I Met Your Mother suffered that. They went a
Yeah.
couple seasons too long,
Yeah.
and they kind of they had when they knew they were ending it. I don't know what they were thinking with that last season. I really wasn't a fan of it,
Yeah.
of the way they set it up.
The-
They kind of.
Introducing the mother was probably the biggest mistake they could have done.
But you know what?
In my
I was-
opinion.
I was kind of okay with that because they teased it for a long time. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, we've got special guest Katy Perry on. It was like, she's gonna be the mother, and
Right.
now Rachel Bilson's guest starring. And they took all these like promo photos with it to try and tease it.
Yeah.
And then they were gone the next episode. It was great. But so that I was okay with, and like I really enjoyed How I Met Your Mother for a lot of parts because the writing from the first to about the 4th season
Yeah.
was just gold. Like it was
But
great.
I
And they just lost the plot a bit.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think-
it
I
was
think
like
if
had
they-
to end it,
if
so.
they would have ended it at the right point and had the show ended with him meeting her, like had the season finale or the series finale been the main guy meeting his eventual wife, like to me that would have just ended perfectly. It would have
Yeah.
just stopped in the right place instead of going on with what they did and having a role
you did watch the ending, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, don't
Everybody
ruin it
that's
for-
that's watching or that's in chat. If you're interested in How I Met Your Mother and you haven't seen the ending, mute for now, and then when I wave my hands like this, unmute. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Okay. I really like the way they ended it because the best stuff that happened in How I Met Your Mother was Ted and Robin. And
Yeah.
the fact that you met the mother, you actually got to see the mother for a little while and you get introduced to her
Right.
was okay. And the fact that they did what they did and said that she died really young because of this, that makes Ted a better character because
Right.
there's a lot of years where he was really a huge douchebag.
Well,
Like,
there
he
was
really
there
does
was there was a
this-
lot of years that everybody thought Robin was their mother as well, right?
Exactly. And I like that they went back to that
Yeah.
because I don't know, I felt like that was actually the right way to end it.
Yeah.
But the problem was they should have done it 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
And probably taken, instead of having a full last season being Barney's wedding, should have been maybe the last 3 episodes.
Well, I mean, and first of all, Robin is such a great character because she's a Canucks fan. I think that.
And she's Canadian in real life and
Yeah.
fucking hot.
And
Anyways, we're done talking about spoilers.
yeah, and she took off. And it's too bad because she was known in How I Met Your Mother, but then when she starred in the Avengers movie, all of a sudden she's this household name now, and it's like hope.
I love
Yeah, like she's great. Hopefully, a lot of people will go back and watch How I Met Your Mother if you watched the Avengers and got to know her and yada 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 this and that. But
Yeah, she'll have a lot of good things ahead of her. I have a feeling she'll run with the Avengers thing, but I have a feeling she'll probably end up getting a really good dramatic TV role
Yeah.
that she'll do for a few years and become even more well known for.
No, I
Because
think
she's
so.
just a very good actress in general. But
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah. Anyways, but you're right. It kind of it's the plague of the TV show, and you know what? There's so many great shows. Can you imagine? I mean, everybody and their dog loves Friends. Friends went 3 years too long.
Yeah,
It should all have ended with Chandler and Monica getting married. That was the last thing that should have happened because then it just went on, and there's that weird stuff with Jennifer Aniston and Matt LeBlanc where she was dating Joey. It's
they were living together
what?
and dating, and
yeah, that
Yeah.
was really. It just wasn't good stuff. Like it really.
well, not only that too, but it hit a point where a lot of the Friends characters, or actors, I should say, started to take off in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden Jennifer Aniston was getting movies. I mean, Monica, what's her
A
name?
lot of
Courtney
them are
Cox. She,
Courtney
I mean,
Cox.
she starred in the Ace Ventura movies, and that was kind of her breakout in film. And
Well, she was in the Scream movie, like the
yeah,
actual.
but that was a little later. But
Yes, yeah, but she's always. I mean, she's always been in stuff. Even
Yeah.
if it's Cougar Town.
but yeah, that's that's what's too bad is that a show like that, if it ended when Monica or not, yeah, Monica and fucking
Chandler.
Cokehead, yeah, Chandler, got married.
From
Yeah, that
Studio
would have.
50.
I think had they done that, and then maybe a couple years later they do like a reunion show, just like a one and done. Whether they did that to then say that Ross and Rachel are married, and Chandler and Monica finally had a kid, and Joey's moving to California to ruin his career.
Maybe, yeah, yeah. I do think, yeah, like if you can always go back to that. That's a British thing a lot of the time. Like
Yeah.
the British Office did that. They did 2 seasons and then did like their Christmas special, which kind of ended with the two kind of the Jim and Pam version in British
Right.
getting together. But like, and actually, you know what, that actually brings up an interesting idea, because I watched a ton of the US version of The Office, and you know what, it kind of,
How?
I feel like that show could have been one actually that could have gone on even longer
Yeah.
and still have been really funny if they kept all the same people, which was why it ended, because they weren't
Did-
gonna keep Steve
Did
Carell.
Ricky Gervais have much involvement in the U.S. one other than being a creator?
He was a creator. He had some initial say, I think, originally, but it was really hands off.
Like, I wonder how salty he is over the fact that the U.S. one dominated as far as pop culture known.
It dominates in pop culture in the U.S.
Yeah.
The Office utterly dominates in UK culture.
Yeah, no, I know that, but you just got to wonder how salty he must be for a lot of people in the world knowing him or not knowing him for The Office, but you think of The Office and they know Steve Carell because of that, right?
I
bet you
guess
it's pretty high.
He made so much money off the U.S. one being just an executive producer.
Yeah.
I think and it's, you know what, the U.S. one never ripped off the UK one.
Yeah.
It
Well,
never-
that was
the
probably
only-
part of the part of the
Yeah, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that really is the same is that there's a worker and the Jim and Pam idea.
right.
That they get along really well, but Pam's been forever engaged, or I can't remember her name in the British one.
Lucy?
She's forever engaged to sort of a douchebag who works in production,
see.
and he's the salesman who's kind of nerdy but gets along.
Oh no,
with her really
Lucy
well.
Davis is the actress.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Office. Dawn.
Dawn, right?
Yeah.
Dawn and yeah, okay. Dawn, yeah, Dawn. The only other thing that they kind of borrowed from it was that they had the Gareth character, which is the Dwight character,
Right.
but they're not at all similar. They just had that there was a quirky, kind of know-it-all person in that idea.
Yeah.
Dwight is totally different than Gareth. They're both funny for their own reasons.
Yeah.
And like Steve Carell's character and Ricky Gervais' character, similar idea in that they're very egotistical, totally clueless bosses that
Right.
just or whatever, but they're not at all alike. So the concept was the same of them, but they never stole any ideas. It was very much its own show.
Right.
And I remember hearing Ricky get interviewed about it once, and him talking about like that it's two totally different things.
How
They never tried to make one be the other, because you can't do British humor in an American show.
right.
If you're doing British humor, you have to be a British show and do
Yeah.
your own.
How I forgot what I was gonna ask.
How long did it go on for?
No, I know how long it went on for. Trying to remember.
you ever watch Ricky Gervais' other show that he did after that called Extras?
No.
It was really funny. It's about him and this other girl who are like aspiring actors, but they always end up as extras.
Oh, really?
So every episode they have some kind of like semi-celebrity, like Ben
Steal a role from him. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're in their movie. So one was Kate Winslet. So Kate Winslet was playing the lead role, and they're like an extra in this Kate Winslet.
Nice.
The one was Ben Stiller was one of them.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember what I was going to ask. How was The Office when James Spader came in? Like, I didn't watch any of it when he was there.
It was okay. It was lacking.
Because like I love James Spader and Boston Legal. I think him and Shatner are such a quirky duo, and I don't know if you ever watched any Boston Legal, but
no, I didn't.
It's quite. I mean, it's quite funny because it's basically both Spader and Shatner play like chauvinists, and
yeah, that's what James Spader plays best.
Yeah. But I didn't watch any of when he came into The Office. I wasn't sure how it was, but
he was okay. He was a different character, and he didn't get the kind of laughs that Steve Carell got, obviously.
Right.
But he worked well within it.
Yeah.
For the time he was there, I don't think if they'd went too much longer that it probably would have gotten old. But I mean. When you have people that are as perpetually funny as Dwight and Jim making fun of Dwight and Andy and
it's just who knew you could make a paper selling group as fucking funny as that,
called Dunder Mifflin.
Dunder Mifflin.
Oh my god. And there's so many parts of it that are just so great. Toby is one of my favorite people on that show because he's just this total mild-mannered dude that Steve Carell cannot stand.
Yeah.
And like Toby would be talking to him and he would just be like, "No! Stop talking, Toby!" He's like, "Just telling you can't say that because that's sexual harassment." No!
Well,
it's just so great.
What's his face from what are the Vegas movies where they lose Bradley Cooper and fucking
Hangover?
Yeah, The Hangover. What's Andy? Yeah, what's his Ed Helms? Is that his name?
Ed Helms.
Yeah. I mean that was like he's obviously known for the Hangover movies, but he was in The Office for the majority of it too, wasn't he?
Yep, like he jumped in about the 4th or 5th season, the one that Jim went to Scranton and came back, and it was Ed Helms and Rashida Jones.
Right.
That came with him.
God, I love Rashida Jones.
Oh, I know, wasn't she great?
Yeah.
And then Rashida Jones left after that year, and Ed Helms stayed.
Right.
Yeah, that was the year they merged everything together. But like that one, just you had, people that were great at being so understated, like Jim Krasinski.
Right.
And even like what's his name from Hot Tub Time Machine?
The black guy?
Craig Robinson as like one of the guys in shipping.
Right.
And, like they have very funny people in those roles. Stanley.
Right. We get to go home.
Ryan, like the lady that Dwight bangs.
I
that
can't
has all
remember.
the cats. That's on tip of my tongue. Fuck.
The nerdy older
blonde
glasses.
girl that's really snotty.
Oh no, I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah, I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they had so many great characters in that show, and that's just, it's like Cheers in that way. Like they had so many good characters. You could just sit in that bar for 20 years and it'd be great jokes. Like they just had good characters. They not a lot of shows that have that many.
I have a question. Did 100% of content in Cheers take place in the bar?
No.
Okay.
That was always where everybody congregated because it was.
It's been so long since I've watched any Cheers. I just can't ever remember they ever
it
left
was,
it.
like that was where everybody hung out. So it was Sam and Diane's bar, and
Right.
Woody worked there, and
Cliffy.
Rita and Danny DeVito and Cliffy and Norm were always there,
Yeah.
and then Frasier came to drink there with so everybody's lives converged at that bar.
Right.
God, Cheers! I haven't watched Cheers in the longest.
It's been a while, yeah.
Good
Oh, well.
old Cheers.
But I think that was probably a good time to shut the old podcast down.
Yeah, sounds like a good thing. We can get some first time Friday going. We'll throw the if I can get the thing in chat here, we'll get one last opportunity for you to vote for first time Friday for what the Grove is going to play this evening.
The Grove. Wow.
Oh,
The Grove.
That sounds like a road.
But yeah, didn't know the podcast would take the turn of movies for the majority of this one, but glad it did.
Yeah, that's okay.
And
we could, at least we didn't talk about Ultra for 2 hours.
we would have just sat there.
Although-
We would have just sat there and had our hearts up in the air and our U's and our titties out. But
Although I think Turnover probably is still watching.
likely, yeah.
That's cool. We got the terrible gaming wub wub tonight.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it looks like the tiebreaker has been broken.
Hang on. What do we have?
So in the lead with one more vote is Ori and the Blind Forest. So, excuse me, I guess we're going to shut her down the voting now. So it looks like after I come back, we will be playing some blind foresting Ori.
Cool. I know nothing about this.
I don't either. I just know that apparently it's amazing. So
Cool. Right on.
yeah, so let's we're going to take a quick break, probably let's say between 5 and 10 minutes, just to I got to fill my water up, use the washroom, stretch my legs, pet my dog. I have an actual dog that's not sexual. Battle Flag will likely be hanging out in chat watching, I'm sure. And actually, who are we kidding? He's going to be watching Ultra.
I will probably have you on.
Yeah.
They're not showing the people I want to see at Ultra, so I'll have to YouTube.
It's okay. Both were noting that Oklahoma and Duke are both winning their matches right now. Games.
Games. However, just so we're clear on everything with this, tonight's episode was brought to you by. Wait for it.
Beer. That's I can definitely let me bring it in. All right, so this will be how we wait. This is how we send ourselves off. So again, thanks for everyone for watching Games, Drinks, Opinions. My name is Grover.
Battle Flag's over here. Drink a beer.
Every week, every Friday we do this, and yeah. So first time Friday's coming up right after this. I'll be playing Ori and the Blind Forest. So don't go anywhere, and remember, what should your secret ingredient be this week?
Today's secret ingredient is
Wait for it.
Beer. All right, everyone, have a good break, and we'll see you back.